Because the time has come for the black man to forget his hero worship of other races and to create and emulate heroes of his own.
The leader that we have, they're afraid of the Western. The Western, they don't see the best interest of us African. Not at all. Any African that is going to say the Western, they see the best interest of the African continent, they're lying to you. Even all the European, they're saying they see the best interest of African. Let me tell you this, majority of the European, do you know what they see us African? Number one, they see us, we are animal, we can't lead, we have to serve them, we have to be under them. That's what they see us. They see us, we can't lead, we can't fix anything. So they see it is their job to control us. And a lot of our leader is like they don't see that. It's like they don't see it. The Western don't like African in their country. But the Western, they want to get something from Africa. The Western, they want Africa to serve them. They want African country to serve them, to give them everything. They want to get everything from the African continent, but we cannot get anything from the Western. Can you see the problem we have here?
Racism is a group system.
I'm not going to lie. Credit to the Western. They build technology. They advance in so many ways when it comes to technology. But the resource for them to build a lot of it came from the African. The riches of their country. Look, the African, they are not poor. We are not poor. But how come the continent that is not poor, but they're poor? The country that they don't have all the resources, the rich. Make that make any sense to you? African is not poor, but the people, we are poor. But the country that they don't have the resource that we have, they're richer than us. And they say we're partner.
After years of strained relations, how can the EU and African countries now rebuild ties with Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger?
Nothing. I'll say this. Nothing. There's no way. Let me just put it like this. Every African country that they're thinking they have a relationship with the Western, you're kidding yourself. We don't have a relationship with the Western. There's zero relationship. The USA and the rest of the European country, they need to leave African alone, because look at the French. They've been to the Sahel for decades. How come the terrorists still advance small? They have weapons. They're analyzing a lot of Burkina Faso, a lot of Mali, a lot of Niger. The French, they've been there. Nothing changes. So now they're talking about how to improve the relationship between the free country with the West. Come on, man. Come on. They need to leave African alone. Under the Western, Africa is not developing. Africa is not. All we see is corrupt people dying. Africa became like a cemetery to all of us. We born, die poor, live poor, nothing more. We don't grow anything, nothing more. The Western, they think they give us charity. It's crazy. When I see this, a piece. Look at all them African leaders that they're sitting up over there. Can you see? They will give you some stupid answer that I don't want to hear.
Sada, can you walk us a little bit through the key elements of the EU's new approach, and maybe with a reference to what you already mentioned about Russia and Russia's narrative?
Well, okay, thank you very much for that. Effectively, at the end of November, at the level of the European Union, foreign ministers adopted the so-called renewed approach. The renewed approach is based on three elements. The first is intensified political and diplomatic engagement. Now, that might sound like the vacuous conversation of diplomats without any real meaning. It isn't actually. The nature of our conversation has been a fundamental problem in the relations between us and the region. And we need to correct that. We need to be a lot better at listening. We need to be a lot better at explaining where we're coming from and explaining that we have a number of interests. We're not there just because we like to be nice neighbors. We're there because we have concerns. And that has been very well received.
Liar! That's a lie.
Just leave the entire African. They don't see best interest when it comes to the African. This Western buffoon, they took like, they've been in Africa. It's not like, oh, they just go into Africa. They've been in Africa. They're there in Africa. Do you know the problem is here? The problem is here because they're seeing a lot of African country they start looking to Russia and China, and they don't like it. Why don't you leave African alone so we can make our own decision? Why don't you leave us alone so we can make our own freaking decision? Is that really hard? Why don't y'all Western mind your damn business? You don't like us in your country. When you see us in your country, you're getting mad at us. You're calling immigration. What all these blacks they doing here? Why don't y'all go to your country? But you guys want everything from our country. Leave us alone. We want to partner with Russia. Let us partner with Russia. Why you guys find it hard? Why? Because we have so much resource that you guys want. Your interest is the resource. Your interest is not the people. The terrorists in Africa, they run like a bunch of bees. And you have the American soldier over there. What do? Nothing. What do? Now, I don't see terrorist people running around in France or the USA. I don't see that. You see a lot in Africa and America. We're sending the soldier over there to join the African, and we're gonna give them the weapon. No, we don't care. Get out. The Western, they don't fix no country. That's what they do. Get out from our country so we can try to build. Look at Singapore. They build. Singapore, they went from nothing and look at them. They build. Leave us alone. Let us try to fix. China, they're helping. Even if they're hypocrite, they're helping. Let's see what Russia they're going to do. Let's see the difference. But you got, because you have so much hate of Russia or the Chinese and what? Oh, why the Russia they're there? African every single time. We want to partner with the Russia. The America, they don't want that. The Western, they don't want. Who are you? Who gave you the right to be over us?
I was in Niger about 3 weeks ago. Earlier this week in Burkina, next week in Mali, been extremely well received. Secondly, human security. 3 military regimes came to power saying there's a security problem, we're military, we know how to deal with it. Now they're all saying, actually, the problem is much more than military. We need to have an integrated approach. Okay, let's work together with you on community-based justice, on issues that are responding to access to basic social services. This is what stops people from joining, being recruited into the ranks of terrorist groups. And thirdly, socioeconomic resilience, creation of employment opportunities, infrastructuring, small access roads so that people can get
See, China, they're doing that to a lot of African countries. Can you see the Western, they failed to help Africa? Do you know that when we was in colonization, we still in colonization, serving the Western, they didn't want to train not African people. Yeah, they didn't want to train us, even in education when it comes to being a doctor, engineering. They want to train us, even in the army. They didn't want to train. There was a limit. The rank that you can, there's a limit. They were training at a nursing level, so you can't understand certain things. That's what they did. But look at the Chinese, how they're working with the African. They're involving the African with the technology. They're working with them. And the Russia, they're teaching the African with the science and the technology. That's why it's working with them people. That's why you can see a lot. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, they all going to Russia and they're working with the Chinese because they're working together. But the Western, they didn't want that. But now look at them. Why are they still crying to go back to Burkina Faso, Mali, or Niger? Why? They call them places poor. But why are you want to go back? Why you want to go to a poor country? You want to still dig, take everything.
Choose to market. So these three elements, political diplomatic engagement, human security, and socioeconomic resilience, I think give us a lot to work on. I'm happy to spend the next hour, but don't want to abuse. I would love another moment if there is a chance to come back to Russia, though.
It's just policy. I find it just useless when it comes to us African, because I believe it don't work. It don't work. USA and the West and their policy, it don't work with us. We have our way. So when I see, especially US, I just don't like their way because I find they're so hypocrite. Because look at this. You have the US, they've been to Africa. They always go and train their soldier, whatever they do, and our country is still ruined. You have the Western, you got country like France. France, they've been in Africa for decades. But do you know what they do? They protect what they're taking from Africa, but they don't protect our people, and they don't help in any way to help in building bridges, housing, infrastructure. They don't help in nothing. When it comes to the West, they don't help in nothing. They take, but they don't help enough. So to me, enough is enough. All African, they need to run away from the Western. We do. We need to run away from them because it's insane. For decades, we take. We're not making any progression. They're making big progression. It's when it comes to African Western, the policy, I find it don't work. We've been with them for so long, nothing will work. So it's time to change and move on, you know. So I have no issue when it comes to Russia partner with Africa, the Chinese partner with Africa. I have no issue with that, but we just need to be cautious how we're going to work with them, because we've been cautious, we've been, you know, let's welcome the West and let them do whatever. And it never worked. The West and they got greedy, taking. While the country is getting rich, we're dying poor. I hope you can like, subscribe, and share. I'll catch you guys to the next one. Peace.